guys, Serena here. Sorry if I sound kind of crappy. I do have a little bit of a cold. So I want to talk about something. A lot of people are claiming to work with spirits that they are not actually working with. You know, I hate to say this, and I'm not trying to be mean, but imagination is a thing. Spiritual psychosis is a thing. Mental illness is a thing. A lot of people think that they're working with Hecate, and they are not. In fact, she came to me recently, and she told me that. You know, a lot of people just want to work with spirits because of their power to show off, like their Pokemons. You know, a lot of people say that, and that's true. You know, I have never reached out to a single spirit before. They always reached out to me first. I want to talk about Hecate, for example. When I finally figured out who she was and what was reaching out to me, everything made sense. For example, growing up, I would always come in contact with snakes quite often. In fact, I picked up this horse saddle one time. There was another horse saddle under it, and there was a snake in between those saddles, a moccasin, actually. When I picked up the saddle on top, me and that moccasin came face to face, almost touching noses. And that moccasin, I screamed in its face. And it looked at me kind of weird like this, but didn't attack me or anything. Yeah, that's happened a lot growing up. I would wake up, there'd be a snake on my dresser. Go to a bathroom, there's a snake in the bathtub. Yeah, that was one sign of her, was all the snakes. And none of these snakes would ever attack me, which was very strange. Dogs. I grew up it was like I was a magnet for black dogs. In fact, it drew my grandfather crazy at some point because all these black dogs were constantly just appearing on our property. And he would have to shoo them off. And that happened a lot from the time I was really young up until now. Black dogs are constantly showing up around me. And having dreams, very, very vivid dreams. So yeah, black dogs and snakes are a sign of her. So she was with me from the time I was a young child, and I found out it's because I've worked with her in many of my past lives. So she followed me in this life. So yeah, always coming in contact with snakes and dogs, black dogs, constantly, literally constantly. Dreaming about black horses too. People forget that's also one of her signs, one of her symbols in animals is horses. But when I really started to figure it out is when I had a dream about her. She had a black dress, she had the keys, she had the veil over her, and she was telling me things, telling me about her reaching out to me, telling me other personal things about my gifts and abilities. And then I started to see her name everywhere. And I was like, who is this person? Why do I keep seeing and hearing about her? So I did some research on her, and everything made sense at that point. So I started working with her. That was back in 2018, 19, I think. I'm horrible with timelines. Yeah, so she was with me a very long time, and it was obvious that she was with me. And that's just a few signs. You know, there's more that I experienced than just that. But yeah, I knew nothing about her. And, you know, she reached out to me. I did not reach out to her. So you'll know if Hecate is with you. You know, you'll see the black dogs, the snakes. You know, a lot of these people are claiming to work with her, and they're not. They're not. Believe me, you'll know if you are. And, you know, usually you only hear about the motherly side of her. Yeah, she's very motherly. I love her to death. She is definitely like a mother to me, but no one talks about her dark side. She has a very, very dark side, a very vengeful side. If you're working with Hecate, I'll just say this. Your enemies will drop like flies. People who do you wrong will just, you know, pass away unexpectedly. People who do you wrong will have really bad luck. You know, she does bring death and sickness and decay with her vengeful side. And I notice when people who do me wrong, yeah, it's never good for them. So if you work with Hecate, really work with Hecate, then your enemies won't stand a chance. People who do you wrong will not stand a chance. You know, I've never really been that big into things like protection talismans because they've never really been needed. You can see I never wear jewelry. It's rare because I don't need it. I have her. Anyway, I just want to talk about that because a lot of people think they work with her and they don't. And they're just working with her for her power. They only talk about her loving side, her mothering side, but they don't talk about how she'll make your enemies disappear off the face of the earth. But that's rare. You know, she only does that if someone really hurts you very badly. But she is very loving. She has a very bright side to her, an angelic side to her, but she also has a demonic side to her. And you don't hear people talk about that often. And it just goes to show that all these people who think they work with her, they're not working with her. And like I said, a lot of people work with spirits just for their power. I never reach out to any spirit. In fact, you know, they reach out to me, and they will reach out to me for months or years before I finally accept them. Because, you know, imagination, you know, it could be in my head. I could be making it up. And a lot of people don't stop and ask themselves, that could this be in my head? Could I be imagining this? They're just like, oh yeah, I work with this spirit now. You know, trickster spirits are a thing. Your imagination is a thing. Spiritual psychosis is a thing. Believe me, if that spirit is truly there, it will be more than just in your head. I mean, that spirit will really show you that they are around. And a lot of people are just, it's in their head. It's trickster spirits. They're not really working with that being. Like I said, when I finally figured out it was her, I didn't even know she was real. I didn't even know she existed. And it took me a while to figure out it was her. And we have such a deep, strong bond and connection that is wild. It's wild. And another thing that you see is that you see mostly people on TikTok, they're only working with, you know, the most well-known spirits, like Lilith, Hecate, you know, all them. And, you know, they just kind of like cherry pick. Oh, I want to work with this spirit. Oh, I think this spirit's working with me or reaching out to me. And you only see people show off, you know, they show off these statues, but they're only of spirits who are really popular and powerful. These people are just trying to show off their power. That's it. And they're mostly working with trickster spirits. Yeah, people are not working with the spirits that they think they're working with. It's, you know, a lot of people are honestly just mentally unwell, especially on TikTok. You know, I have any spirit who reaches out to me, I ask them to confirm like 10, 20 times. And usually, you know, I will ask them to keep confirming for months or even years before I actually start working with them. Because like I said, imagination is a thing. And sometimes we can't control our imagination. You know, there's trickster spirits. So yeah, a lot of people are not working with these spirits that they think they're working with. They're just showing off. They're just bragging. They're just trying to seem all powerful and special. Spirit work, deity work, it's not for the faint of the heart. it's some serious crap. You know, like if you do a spell for a client with a spirit and that client does something they shouldn't, yeah, that spirit will terrorize them. It's not just light, fluffy stuff that people make it out to be. It's not. It's serious, and there's a lot more to it. And also, offerings are not everything. Yes, I give a lot of offerings. You know, I give a lot of wine, a lot of incense, a lot of cookies and cakes. Yes, but that's not enough. You have to seriously devote yourself to them. Pray to them, speak to them. You know, a lot of spirits like you to write them letters. They like you to even, you know, make art for them. You know, spirits want you to sit down and take the time out of your day for them. Just throwing them an offering on a plate is not enough. So the more spirits you work with, the harder it's going to be to devote, because how are you going to have the time for it? You know, I've recently, you know, have added a few more spirits into my team. And it's hard. It's hard devoting to Hecate, doing all this for Hecate, and then trying to find time for the others as well. It's not that easy. It's not that simple as just giving them some offerings and doing a spell with them and, oh, I'm this all-powerful special witch. A lot of these people are just very mentally unwell.